Hello and welcome to Good Day Gardening. I am your host, Jacqueline Rhea, and this is my garden. Well, this was my garden. Today's episode is going to take you on a little trip through time. I'm going to show you how I've converted much of my yard from grass to what it is today. So we're going to start our trip with how the yard looked when I first bought my house back in the spring of 2007. I bought the house because it was a cute little cottage-style house, just right for me. It's adorable, isn't it? The previous owner did some quick landscaping using mostly palms for a very tropical look. Problem is, I'm not a big fan of palms, and the palms he planted would easily outgrow the house and leave me staring at these tall trunks that look like elephant legs. And I didn't really like that idea. So the first thing to go were all the palms. I kept one queen palm, and all the others I gave away. Now jump ahead 3 years to May 2010. At this point, I hadn't done much to the yard except neglect it. I was military at the time and was always on call to travel, so I didn't want to invest a whole lot on the yard if it was just going to die from lack of care anyway. And I'm kind of glad I waited because the winter of 2009 and 10 was brutal. It was a cold winter of higher than normal storminess and a lot of cold air as a result of a strong El Niño coupled with a very strong negative Arctic oscillation. Translating from geek speak, it was really cold and a lot of tropicals in the area perished. This was the time I decided I wanted to change things up a bit. I was leaving the military to pursue personal goals, and one was to create my own style of garden at home. So I started with the northeast corner of my lot. I removed the grass by digging it up, breaking it apart, and flipping it over to bury it. I knew I wanted edibles, aromatics, and pretty little flowers, so I planted creeping thyme, rosemary, chives, sage, basil, and bulbine. I also left a lantana in the middle that had planted itself. This is also the time period where I first installed micro and drip irrigation. I ran drip irrigation lines along rows where I installed the plants, and I'm so glad I did. It made watering incredibly easy, and it's still there today. This is what it looked like at the end of installation in July 2010. The great thing about installing plants in July is that the rainy season is underway and I don't have to worry about watering. You can install plants pretty much any time around here, but when I can, I prefer July just to get my plants better established with less work. Now it's November 2010 and the garden still looks pretty good. I use sitting mulch installation, which is pretty well faded, but it doesn't bother me. I add leaf mulch periodically to spruce it up and improve the soil. By now, I spend much of my time away from home as I am studying environmental horticulture to get my degree from the University of Florida. The basil is big and tall now and looking great. The rosemary didn't do well, but at that time I had yet to successfully grow rosemary anyway. The lantana and bulbine both had pretty little flowers and all seemed well. Celebrating the new year in January 2011. The basil is done as expected because it's an annual. Bulbine is fine and lantana is good, but I find I have to prune off the berries to get more flowers, which I kind of don't like because it's a little bit of work. The time seems to be struggling and it's been dry lately, so I increase the watering to 15 or 20 minutes of drip irrigation every day. They did a lot better and even produced flowers. However, either because I wasn't around to keep an eye on them, or time was just up for them, they died shortly after flowering. Oh well. So in June I decided to plant some of my absolute favorites in the area as a summer ground cover. That would be my little white rain lilies. I love these guys. They are such a cute little surprise after every rain. A little white flower pops up and says, "Hello, sunshine." Makes me smile every time I see them. In winter, rain lilies are a bulb and they die back into the ground, so you don't see them except after the occasional rain. For the rest of the year, I didn't really change this area a whole lot as I started to focus on the southeast side of the yard. I installed some thornless blackberries near the entrance, I replaced the lantana with a double purple devil's trumpet, and I planted some tomato plants in place of where the basil was the year before. Later, I did add some annuals to see how they would fare. I know a lot of people don't like annuals because of the work you need to replant them year after year, but I decided I would give it a try anyway. This would give my perennials time to establish and see how they would develop and how much room they would need. I also have to say, you can't beat annuals in terms of instant color and transformation they provide to the landscape. The culmination of my annuals experiment was this beautiful garden, just this past May 2013. Look at all that color. Can you even compare it to the drab palms that were there at the beginning? My experiment continues to this day, and that's why I created my channel Good Day Gardening, so I could share with you the wonders of gardening in Florida, the trials, the tribulations, and the fun. I hope you enjoyed this walk through time. Another time I'll show you how the southeast side of the yard is progressing. Thanks for joining me, and remember, it's always a good day in the garden.